We all here to see B-Eazy. We wanna listen to B-Eazy. Ayy, we all like B-Eazy. Nah, matter of fact, we love B-Eazy. Believe me, he really that dude. Subscribe to the channel, it's easy to do. If you care, then go ahead and share this fire content, extraordinarily rare. That's why I put that on my mama, he is that dude. And I put that on my daddy, he is that dude. So
yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Persons progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah.
He always do it big, you know who it is. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, B-Eazy that dude. He on his way to the top and he ain't about to stop. You thought he would flop and didn't wanna give him props. The things you dreaming about he already did do. Now it's time to soak a game, he about to give you. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to tune in when he goes live. Make a contribution if you feeling the content. Tap into the realness if you tired of the nonsense. I mean, no disrespect, ain't trying to sound rude, but the world already knows that B-Eazy's that dude. Ooh. Hey yo, who is that dude? Oh girl, that's just B-Eazy. Oh boy, that's just B-Eazy. Well, who is B-Eazy? Oh, you ain't know, he been a pro for show, all about the dough. He been running up them racks and still trying to get some more. Don't care about the fame, just trying to gain and grow. He really one of them ones, his presence so pivotal. So hell yeah, he that dude, this is unequivocal.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude. An impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Controversial trending topics, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても地元ぐらいです。
being a regular. None of your competitors better catch up like 10 steps ahead. Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, moving for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no ho, no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking his green. Forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude. In the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really indie. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad. And we are activated, and we've already been joined by some illustrious guests. Chakra King, always early. We got John Cien, one of the dopest to ever pick up a pen, aka John Sinatra. And take heed to what he's saying. Hit the like button, hit the share for a real one. Also subscribe, hit that notification bell, because I will be hitting y'all with some controversial but intriguing and enlightening content. We've also been joined by sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond in a building. Salute to the Florida fam, and we gonna get right into this thing. Bada boom, bada bam. So right now, there's a story going on in the media. It's overhyped. I truly don't care about this story, but I am just going to point out some of the hypocrisy. So a prelude to the discussion is Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is some comedian. I don't know. He has some sort of late night talk show. I don't listen to Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think that the dude is funny. Could anyone tell me a Jimmy Kimmel joke or a movie or a stand-up that he did that was funny? I can't name one. People love to talk about meritocracy. Does Jimmy Kimmel have his job based on meritocracy? If there was a comedian list, would Jimmy Kimmel be in the top 20, the top 50, the top 100? How is that merit? Jimmy Kimmel has this cushy gig where he gets paid millions and millions, but he's not funny. The jokes that he said is funny to a particular demographic, but he's not a DEI hire, and he's just there based on merit. Okay, let's get into the story. So apparently there's a class. Jimmy Kimmel told a joke that is being perceived as insensitive, and now Melania and the Trump family are going on these unhinged tirades about how unfair it is, and some people are calling for Jimmy's job to be taken away. And it's funny because these same people will call other snowflakes and say they're against cancel culture, but as soon as someone says something against their dear leader Trump, the orange man, then suddenly they're calling for censorship and for people to get fired. Funny how that works.
Jimmy Kimmel pushed back against new calls from the First Lady and the President, basically to get him fired, this time over a joke he made last week, days before the White House.
And just to be clear, I will have to stop the video, fast forward, rewind it, etc., so I'm not getting a copyright infringement. If you want to watch this uninterrupted, it's on CNN. It's titled, Kimmel Pushes Back After Melania Trump Urges His Firing. This will be done under the Articles of Fair Use, where I'm giving commentary to not only enlighten, to entertain, and educate. So like Chakra King says, politics, correct. And this is why I always emphasize both parties are on the same team. They are beholden to their corporate lobbying donors and the establishment. Two cheeks on the same booty, two fangs on the same Viper. Let's get back into it.
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
And of course, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Again, that was days before the incident.
Okay, so before we get into it, that was the joke. The joke was that Melania has a glow like a expected widow. Now, I'm being impartial with this analysis. Was that funny to any of y'all? I'm going to rewind that back one more again, but seriously, where was the joke? Where was the humor in that? Forget it being insensitive. I'm okay with racist jokes. I'm okay with insensitive jokes. Are they funny? Because that's the whole point of a joke, right? Don't say something that's insensitive, offensive, and disgusting, and then it's just jokes, bro. But yeah, it wasn't funny, though. That's the whole purpose of a joke, is to make people laugh. I laugh at racist jokes. I laugh at insensitive jokes. Now, if it's a racist person making a racist joke, that's different. But if somebody is just, being a little bit edgy and, they're not truly having hate in their heart, people didn't perceive George Carlin to have hate in his heart, but he made a lot of racist jokes. And he straddled the line between a racist joke and a racial joke, right? But since people didn't perceive him to be a racist, then people were like, oh, okay, I guess he can push the boundaries. But if you're a card-carrying bigot and then you try to make a racist and or racial joke and say, it's just jokes, bro. Yeah, you're not going to get that same leeway. Let's run it back one more again.
Jimmy Kimmel pushed back against new calls from the First Lady and the President, basically to get him fired, this time over a joke he made last week, days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
And of course, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Again, that was days before the incident Saturday night, the attempted shooting there. But now the First Lady says his words, Jimmy Kimmel's words, are corrosive and that they deepen the political sickness within the country. And she added, it is time for ABC to take a stand. President Trump also said that Kimmel should be fired and said the joke was a despicable call to violence. Kimmel pushed back during his monologue overnight.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it, because, by the way,
60% of sales on Amazon.
Okay, so what did he say there that was funny? I do agree with him when he said that maybe she should have a conversation with her husband, because Trump is over here talking about that people need to dial the rhetoric back and that there's some sort of sickness in the country about divisive. What is Trump saying that's unifying, right? He's going around saying that people are from shithole countries. He's saying that people are not sending their best. They're bringing crime. And I think he has every right to say this stuff. I think he should say it even more, because this is how he truly feels. But what is unifying about that rhetoric, right? They're eating the pets. They're eating the dogs. What is unifying about that? I'm not saying that he should be censored. He should say more of that. I'm all for saying all of the slurs, epithets, and disgusting remarks. Say it with your chest. Don't pretend as if you don't feel that way. And then these people, well, why can't we come together? Because you call people niggers in private. Well, I never said it publicly. Yeah, but it's in your heart. You think that people can't sense that? So many of these people have these bigoted views towards their neighbors. Love thy neighbor, but they hate their neighbor if their neighbor doesn't have the befitting complexion that they find suitable or worthy of reaching out to, right? So this whole fake, this is a why Christian nation will start acting like it, right? Because what are these values that we're attempting to uphold? They say it's just jokes, bro. Get over it. Well, don't try to idolize. Isn't idolatry a sin? Trump is just a man. Trump is not a god. He's the leader of the free world. He's not my leader, right? That's a title bestowed on him. But is he above the Most High? I'm not even Christian, but so I don't go around talking about how Christian I am. But there are many Bible thumpers who talk about that this is a white Christian nation. And then they'll look at Trump as if he's the second coming of Jesus, but they can't tell you what he's doing is so Christian. Sleeping and man-whoring around with porn stars. I mean, is that Christian? How many marriages and divorces has he had? What is conservative about that? You know what? You can just grab him by the pussy. And, they'll let you do it, right? Isn't that what Trump said? Tell me, could anyone, because I know we got some Bible thumpers in the chat, could anyone cite a verse, scripture, that talks about grabbing women by the pussy? Don't worry. I'll wait. But this is your bastion of virtuosity in Christianity.
This morning, CNN media analyst Sarah Fisher from Axios and CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter. Brian, let me just start with you. Jimmy Kimmel, to my eye, didn't look particularly nervous last night as he was delivering that monologue, and it was notable that he was there at all. ABC didn't step in to take him off the air.
It absolutely was.
Yeah, they've done that before, kind of.
My indication, Disney's being tight-lipped about this. So on the record, nobody there is saying anything about Kimmel. But my sense, talking with sources, making calls overnight, is that Disney is absolutely standing by Kimmel. And you can see that because he was on everyone's television sets last night. But more importantly, behind the scenes, there have also been signals to Kimmel and to his team.
I mean, do people even still have cable and watch shows like this and cut the cord? But I just wanted him to say, okay, fine, that people are okay with Jimmy Kimmel, right? With the joke. Let's see what some of them else have to say, and then I'm going to play a debate on this topic, and then I'm going to transition into the other story.
You know full well that this was asked of by the president and the first lady. They were offended by what he said. It did take place 2 days before the White House correspondence, and we know, of course, what happened on that occasion. Sochi, what's your reaction to Kimmel's essentially pointing the finger back and saying, I think this should be a larger conversation, Mr. President?
Well, I think there has been this larger conversation over the last 24 to 48 hours about political rhetoric. And I do think it was a joke. And I'm glad he was able to address it. And he was talking about his age. Nobody wants anything to happen to this president or any president for that matter. I think that probably moving forward, given the sensitivity of the political rhetoric, maybe we should just stop making jokes about our presidents moving forward when it comes to them, their age, or potentially them passing away. There were a lot of jokes at the time about Joe Biden. Totally get that. And his age.
Hold on, wait a minute. So she said going forward, we should probably not make jokes about the presidents and their age and them potentially passing away. Well, unfortunately, we have to deal with the reality that we're all going to meet our expiration date. So you can joke about anyone else passing because people were joking about Trayvon Martin. People were joking about George Floyd and all sorts of other black people who were brutally unalived. People were making jokes about them, but they're saying, no, maybe we shouldn't make jokes about presidents. Why not? Presidents aren't above the law, right? And they're definitely not above the Most High. So why can't we make jokes about presidents? SNL does it all the time, but hey, they're just doing it satirically, right? Satire is a form of jokes. So she's saying, oh yeah, man, going forward, we shouldn't make jokes about presidents. Yes, we can. That's the whole point of America, right? Land of the free. except when it comes to the president.
About our presidents moving forward when it comes to, or any president for that matter. I think that probably moving forward, given the sensitivity of the political rhetoric, maybe we should just stop making jokes about our presidents moving forward when it comes to them, their age, or potentially them passing away. There were a lot of jokes at the time about Joe Biden. Totally get that, and his age. That's what happens when you elect 80-something-year-old presidents, right? I will say on the political,
people think that's not going to happen anymore.
I think joking about age is fine. I think the potential death of a president, I don't think that we should be joking about that. When it comes to the overall narrative about this, I think.
Why not? Freedom of speech is just jokes, right? Now, I don't make those types of jokes, but you can, on one hand, try to say that here we can joke about slavery. We can joke about any other atrocity. We can joke about people who got slain at the hands of the police. We can joke about them, but don't make this very tepid joke about Trump. The joke wasn't even funny. Who even really watches Jimmy Kimmel? Like I said, could anyone tell me one funny joke from Jimmy Kimmel? Because this one wasn't funny. Apparently, some lunatic liberals loved it. Maybe some kooky conservatives who liked this joke. There was nothing funny about this joke. So they're pushing this joke up. This is what you call manufacturing consent, right? And this is the only reason why I'm covering it. That joke was very mild at best. It wasn't funny, but yet is being covered wall to wall. And people are saying that he should be fired over it. These are the same people that call people snowflakes, right? You're supposed to get over being called a nigger, but this dude can't get over a lighthearted joke, right? People have been lynched by using a vile, disgusting epithet. What is happening to Trump or his family? He has Secret Service flying him around and protecting him for life, but he's a victim because some low-rate comedian told a joke. How pathetic could you be?
One thing we need to realize is that the political rhetoric always is set and the tone is set by the sitting president of the United States. And that is just the reality of things, regardless of whether the person is a Democrat or a Republican. And I believe we do have to take down the temperature, and we've had to take down the temperature for some time. There have been threats that have.
So again, they're over here saying we need to take down the temperature and we this and we that. I didn't know she speak French. Hey.
Who is we? Who is we?
No, Trump needs to take down the temperature, and the CNN and all of these mainstream, lamestream media outlets need to take down the temperature, but they're not trying to take down the temperature. They ramp it up. They feed you with propaganda. They feed you with things that are going to be divisive, things that are going to have you incensed, and they're saying, whoa, man, you know, we need to calm down with all this rhetoric. You're covering all of the disgusting rhetoric. There's so many positive stories that they can cover. They cover all of the filth and saying, man, we have to do better. No, you have to do better at covering the things that are not filthy and disgusting. Where is the balance? If y'all don't know the saying, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So this is why they always talking about crime and depravity and all sorts of debaucherous things. But when there's something positive to highlight, those stories come far and few between. And we also have been joined by Last Call, Mr. Midnight Soul himself, chatting from an undisclosed location in Northern America. So John says, Trump think he emperor. Yeah, well, he did say that he wanted to be dictator for a day. And unfortunately, there are many people, the MAGA, moronic, moist minions, who they place their hands firmly on his cheeks. They spread them apart, then lick up and down and all around. They're not just butt kissers, they're crack lickers. It's rather grotesque and pathetic. But I'm going to pull up this other video, and this is just going to be on the same topic, but it's going to be a debate back and forth about this. And this video will be from The Hill Rising. So just give me one moment to pull that video up. I just have to go to that channel. So just give me 1 sec. And I appreciate y'all. And this is that moment that while you're waiting, you can hit the like button. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. So I'm gonna get ready to pull this video up. Just give me uno momento. And I will be pulling that up. All right, here we go.
Aired 2 days before the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and many people are calling the joke insensitive.
First Lady Melania Trump responded to the clip on X, calling Kimmel a, quote, coward and urging ABC to punish the host for his, quote, hateful and violent rhetoric.
And President Trump took to Truth Social a few hours later, also calling for ABC to fire Kimmel for his despicable call to violence.
Kimmel responded to the backlash on his show last night, explaining that his joke was meant to poke fun at their age difference and was no way to call for an assassination.
Well, I mean, here we go again. Jimmy Kimmel is pathologically unfunny. I think it was a joke in poor taste. Obviously, it was not about, I don't think it was.
Now, this dude, Robbie, is a stooge. He claims to be a libertarian. He's clearly anti-black. He gives a lot of hypocritical takes. To me, he is what you would call a pompous prick. However, I will take the time to concur with him on this. He said that Jimmy Kimmel is pathologically unfunny. Hey, I can't even hold him. That is a fact.
Well, I mean, here we go again. Jimmy Kimmel is pathologically unfunny. I think it was a joke in poor taste. Obviously, it was not about, I don't think it was about assassinating Trump. I think it was a not accurate at all, or based in, usually jokes have to be based in some kernel of truth. The idea that Melania is waiting for Trump to die or doesn't want him to is just false. She loves her husband and is a confidant of her husband and close advisor to liberals. Imagine, because they don't like Trump, that she's desperate to get out of this or something.
Well, I don't know that came from an imagination. She was missing the whole presidency in New York with her son Barron. She didn't live with him, so that's where that started to come from. Just to put the origin out there. People were just confused about people.
Schools.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's 4 years, so people
he goes back and forth all the time.
You asked where it came from. I don't know that it just came from a liberal's mind that didn't want them to be happy.
It came from liberal.
It came from them not living together.
Anyway, Kimmel has the right to do his unfunny jokes, and Trump has the right to be mad about it. He's can call for Kimmel to be fired. He shouldn't be using government auspices to engineer that happening, which is why I've criticized the FCC and Brendan Carr for putting their thumb on the scales, as has Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and other people, saying that's inappropriate, and it is inappropriate. But Trump has every right to object, same right that I have to object to Kimmel's unfunny humor, and it is unfunny.
I don't think that joke landed. I don't think it was funny either. Melania should talk to her husband about changing tone if she wants people to tone down the way that they speak to people. I just pulled up some basic things that President Trump has said about people that were completely out of line that maybe should be fireable offenses if we go by Melania Trump's barometer. About Liz Cheney, he said, let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Okay, let's see how she feels about it when the guns are trained on her face. He said that about Liz Cheney.
Okay, but that was,
he called her a war hawk and told her, well, she needs to get shot at. Okay, but is that appropriate for somebody to say that you should get killed and barrels pointing at you?
That may I address that?
Go ahead.
That was a little different. She is an advocate for foreign intervention, for sending American.
Now here he goes explaining again, right? Y'all heard the example that she just gave. So Trump, he didn't make a joke. He talked about Liz Cheney, who I don't like the warmongering Cheneys, right? But Trump made a remark. It wasn't a joke, but he talked about her with barrels and rifles being pointed at her. Y'all heard the unfunny Jimmy Kimmel joke. How are we comparing Trump trying to equate or at least even insinuate that some sort of violence should happen to the Cheneys towards a lame, unseasoned, unfunny joke by Jimmy Kimmel, right? That's as snowflake as it gets. Where are the MAGA morons to call Trump out about this, right? They love to talk about black people acting like victims. Isn't Melania acting like a victim? It's just jokes, right? If black people can get called nigger and we're told to get over it, right? You think every black person wants to be called that? We don't want to hear that. It's just a word. Get over it. Well, what Jimmy Kimmel said were just words. Get over it. There were unfunny words. Get over it. You're not a victim. They're flying around on Air Force One, getting back rubs by the finest masseurs in the world, eating escargot, doing all sorts of Nepo baby stuff where they're funding tens of millions and millions to their family, right? But they're victims because someone told a joke about them. We're being redlined out of neighborhoods. We're being denied access to health care. We're being denied loans and grants and all this stuff. Shut up, nigger. Get over it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Stop complaining. But somehow we're supposed to listen to them complain about some unfunny Nepo comedian making a lame, corny joke that's not affecting them. Their life is not at danger. But here they are, whining like victims. The same victims that they tell black people, why y'all acting like victims? You mean the people who are actually being victimized, oppressed, and subjugated? Who's oppressing Melania? What subjugation is she facing by being the ire of an unfunny joke?
As Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and other people saying that's inappropriate, and it is inappropriate, but Trump has every right to object. Same right that I have to object to Kimmel's unfunny humor, and it is unfunny.
I don't think that joke landed. I don't think it was funny either. Melania should talk to her husband about changing tone if she wants people to tone down the way that they speak to people. I just pulled up some basic things that President Trump has said about people that were completely out of line that maybe should be fireable offenses if we go by Melania Trump's barometer. About Liz Cheney, he said, let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it when the guns are trained on her face. He said that about Liz Cheney.
Okay, but that was...
He called her a war hawk and told her, well, she needs to get shot at. Okay, but is that appropriate for somebody to say that you should get killed and barrels pointing at you?
That may I address that?
Go ahead.
That was a little different. She is an advocate for foreign intervention, for sending American...
Which he's doing right now.
Can I finish? And he was criticizing that at the time. So it was not saying that something, but again, as I said, based in a kernel of truth. The kernel of truth here is that she's very willing to send everyone else's, put American forces in harm's way for reasons that I, and frankly, many on the left, think are not good uses of American lives. So, what if she was, I'm not going to clutch my pearls over it. It was criticism of, that would be better.
But he doesn't even feel that way.
We don't actually want that to happen.
He's sending people into harm. We lost American troops already.
He's not sending in ground troops.
I know we've lost American soldiers, though, because of his choices. He's not sending his children to go do that. Right. So he's actively doing the same thing.
Right. So you just said it, too. So you see why it's not that offensive.
No, what if I didn't say that? He should be standing there with 9 barrels.
And you're right, Sunlight. That's why I had to fast forward it, because I'm trying to transition into the next story. And this is why I call this dude a pompous prick and a bozo babbler. He claims to be libertarian, but all of his leanings are with the far and alt-right. So we've also been joined by some illustrious guests. And Roger, I already know, you got to go over to chill with the sister Sabby, and that's okay. I already know. So I'll appreciate you for the half hour that you're here. And shout out to JB. I got to get him on here again. So salute to the bro JB. Salute to my girl Sabby Sabs. And salute to Roger Meadows, Nassau County's finest. But hey, where Brooklyn at? And we've been joined by none other than A-Tay-Bay in the building. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to transition because, like Sunlight said, he's deflecting. So on one hand, they're saying that, oh my God, Jimmy Kimmel's joke was unfunny, but not only was it unfunny, it was offensive. How could you joke when the president just almost lost his life? And some people believe that the assassination attempt was staged, that it was just more of the political theatrics. So now instead of people talking about how Trump is failing as a president, how your gas is $6+ people are talking about, oh my God, we have to protect Trump. He's a victim, right? No one got hurt. Are y'all noticing a pattern here? All of these alleged assassination attempts, there's not a lot of people getting hurt, right? There's a black dude that has a bag of Skittles and you see more violence and barbarism in that takedown than in a so-called assassination attempt. I'm just saying these are the most peaceful, polite, friendly, sanitized assassination attempts that I've ever seen. Could you prove me otherwise? So let's play a little bit more of this video.
Saying, well, why doesn't Barron Trump have to enlist? Then,
but I didn't say that. I didn't say that Liz
like
Cheney should stand in the middle of people shooting at her. I said you should think about sending your own kids before you start a war.
I'm not going to clutch my pearls over it. It was criticism of.
Well, I'm just saying people are clutching their pearls, saying that Kimmel should be fired. You might not be of that ilk doing that, but there's a whole faction of people that really support a lot of the things that you say that are saying that Jimmy Kimmel should be fired. So just break it down. At what point should Trump be fired for the things that he says?
Well, Trump was installed by a majority of the people. We voted for him. Jimmy Kimmel is a entertainer who works for a media company that can make decisions based on the ratings, the audience feedback. The bottom line ultimately is what they should make that decision on, right? And
okay.
That's not what the president thinks, not what the FCC thinks, to be very clear. Late night is going the way of the dodo. So
in October 18th, there was a representative called Greg Gianforte. He pled to guilty misdemeanor charge for assaulting a reporter, a journalist. Trump says any guy that can do a body slam, he's my guy. He body slammed the reporter. Trump said, that's my guy. Again, inappropriate. Okay, that's somebody who's president. When in 2020, I know you remember this about the George Floyd protest. He said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, telling folks they're about to start getting shot if any looting happens.
He was telling people not to loot.
Okay, that's still inappropriate. You're telling people that they could get shot up if they start looting, as opposed to.
And like Sunlight said, he's deflecting. He was telling people not to loot. He was telling people that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. If you want to tell people not to loot, say, looting is bad. And if you loot, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That's how you tell someone not to loot. But if you say, you loot, we shoot, and then you say, oh, well, he's just trying to tell people not to loot. No, what he's trying to do is give the green light and a dog whistle for someone to be shot. When people loot property, especially these stores, okay, you're mad that somebody looted a Gucci store. But guess what? Gucci has insurance. So we have all sorts of advanced technology. And I know many people are having masks and stuff, but why doesn't Gucci have a robust security apparatus there? So if someone does a smash and grab in Gucci and you want to make it seem that Gucci are victims, all they do is write that stuff off. Now, yes, people, you do the crime, you do the time. Why didn't you comply? Yes, people shouldn't have been breaking in, but they did break in and they should be prosecuted. The crime for looting in the store is not punishable by death. So the whole you loot, we shoot, even looting a store is not punishable by gunshots. So I don't get how people pretend as if we're a nation of laws, but then they encourage lawlessness based on someone looting, right? Someone will loot a Neiman Marcus store if they still have those around, right? And it'll be some snaggletooth hillbilly in Appalachia talking about, you loot and we shoot. It's like, bro, that happened in Beverly Hills, bruh. No one's looting in your little podunk town. But then you try to take out, you know, I'm tired of this. And then you find the nearest black person you can see. And then, you know, you want to aim a weapon at them, or you want to project your vitriol based on what you've seen hundreds or thousands of miles away. What are people clutching pearls over? You loot, right? They shouldn't have stole that shirt. Oh, you mean like this whole country was stolen, right? It wasn't stolen. It was conquered. Okay, well, then people didn't steal from the Gucci store. They conquered it, right? They went in there, told the people, hey, get down on the ground. I'm not stealing this. I'm conquering it. What's up with the double standards? Coming here, slaughtering a population, genociding them, enslaving them, getting them sick, and then slaughtering their food supply so that they would starve. That's considered not stealing. They were conquering. Okay, well, how about I go into the bank and conquer it? Since that's what we want to promote in this country, right? Let's play some more.
To arrested, right? So these are just...
We're having a fundamental disagreement today. I don't spend all my time being worked up about who's telling people not to loot.
Okay, that's still inappropriate. You tell him he's my guy. He body slammed the reporter. Trump said, that's my guy. Again, inappropriate. Okay, that's somebody who's president. When in 2020, I know you remember this about the George Floyd protest. He said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, telling folks they're about to start getting shot if any looting happens.
He was telling people not to loot.
Okay, that's still inappropriate. You're telling people that they could get shot up if they start looting as opposed to arrested, right? So we're
having a fundamental disagreement today. I don't spend all my time being worked up about the things Trump says. I spend more time opposing the actual we always come at you're really upset about rhetoric and speech and true social statement. I care about the actual policies of the administration. I don't really care all that much about the outrageous, because again, Trump has been making outrageous comments for like 30 years now, and that's just reality. And it hasn't deterred a majority of the American people from choosing him to be our president. So on some level, I'm forced to concede based on the feedback from my fellow Americans that what is the big deal? Now, I think the tariffs are bad. I am very skeptical of the Iran war.
And this is what's pathetic and cowardly about these people, right? He's saying, what's the big deal? But remember, and I'm no fan of Obama, but remember, these people were whining about him with a tan suit. People whine about his fake Southern accent. People whine about a lot of stuff that Obama did and say. They're hanging on every word of him. And then here he is pretending that, oh, yeah, Trump just says a lot of crazy stuff. He's been saying crazy stuff for 30 years, bro. And then they'll say that they're conservative. What is conservative about someone that's revered as the leader of the free world going around saying unhinged, deranged, incompetent, low IQ, disgusting things? Does Trump come off as just like someone that is the sharpest tool in the shed? No. Trump, yeah, Biden was a stumbling, bumbling idiot. Trump sounds like that much of the time too. But because people are trying to cling on to some sort of mythical coalition of MAGA, they're unwilling to call Trump out. Trump is a complete and utter idiot. No different than Biden, no different than Bush. And Obama, he's not an idiot, but he is a political buck-broken stooge. So he's no different than either of the people that I just named. So let me play a little bit more of this, because I can only take so much of this stooge on the screen.
Not as skeptical as you are. I'm pro the administration's regulatory policy on technology and AI. I'm pro the Republican, the change to administrative procedures that they're making. I was supportive of DOJ, but I'm disappointed that it came to nothing. These are tangible things they do that I like and dislike. Trump saying, screw Liz Cheney.
Nope.
I hate you. Whatever. I got her.
Well, look,
who cares?
I actually, you and I debate about policy and decisions made by the administration every single day when that's the topic at hand.
Yeah.
But you ain't gonna skirt this joint and turn left because the topic at hand is that MAGA is upset, including the president and his wife are upset that Jimmy Kimmel made a distasteful joke. So they're upset. Wait, they're upset about words. No, your people are upset about words. And the president doesn't live by that same standard.
What do you mean, you people?
Your people are upset by these words,
well,
your president doesn't live. So what's the standard? I know, but I just want. What's the standard? Tell me. Give me something to work
Jimmy
with.
Kimmel is not funny.
Trump can do anything. And he's just a naturally funny guy. Like you say, Jimmy Kimmel can't say something that's equally as appropriate.
A lot funnier than Jimmy Kimmel.
I know,
is
but
that even a controversial
there's
statement?
There's only one person that's mad right now trying to fire somebody over what they said. When the person who consistently says stuff that's inappropriate, everyone defends him and says he doesn't deserve to be fired.
Well,
because it's not a big
deal.
Defends him. Trump. That's just Trump. So that's just Kimmel.
Trump gets pushback from his people when he says things that are like what he said about Rob Reiner, what he said about Robert Mueller. He got pushback from conservatives over that. So the idea that he can do no wrong and everyone just loves everything he says I don't think that's true.
Okay. Trump's number 2, J.D. Vance, allegedly concerned about the toll the war in Iran is taking.
Okay, so that was the debate on that topic. Where do y'all stand with that? So was Jimmy Kimmel wrong? Was he offensive and insensitive for making that joke about Melania and Trump? Was it not only just corny and lame? Was it just completely inappropriate? And shout out to the FBA family. Ted Knees, bless you, even though he didn't sneeze. And Sunlight says the only pro for Obama is that he was an A student, B at the least. Biden and Trump were D students and had fixers. Yeah, that's what you call DEI hires. That's what you call nepotism, the opposite of meritocracy. Now, this next story is going to be triggering. Now, Roger, are you still in the chat? Roger, if you're in the chat, let me know. You got to reveal yourself. You got to drop a 1. You got to drop a R. Or don't just drop a 1. Drop a B1 in the chat if you're still there, Roger. If not, you're going to have to catch this on the replay because I know Sabby's is about to go live in 15 minutes. So, Roger, if you're in there. Oh, he's driving. Okay. He's driving. So that's good. At least you're here and you'll hear this. And the other thing that Sunlight brings up are the legacy emissions. There's nothing meritocratic about legacy emissions because your daddy and your grandpappy and his pappy donated to the school, then suddenly you should be getting in because of that. That's not meritocracy. And people pretend as if they care about meritocracy and then they flip and try to say, no, nepotism should be okay, right? When your daddy, because your daddy is a lawyer and he wants to give you a car when you graduate, won't you deny that car? Won't you say, no, Dad, I want to pull myself up by my bootstraps. I don't want a handout. Why do you want a handout for your mommy and daddy, right? But then they'll make an argument and say, well, it's not my fault that my parents were successful. But then it's also not this other kid's fault that his parents was poor. He didn't ask to be born into a poor family. So you want to ridicule someone that's born into a poor family, but then you want to try to downplay how you were born with a silver spoon with all of these privileges and advantages. Make it make sense. And these are the arguments coming from the so-called high IQs. You're an alleged high IQ, but you're making a low IQ lunatic argument. Make it make sense. And shout out to Red 6 says, I don't really care for Kimmel, but the right wingers are showing their hypocrisy by wanting to have him removed. Yeah, Kimmel, there's nothing funny about Jimmy Kimmel. If anyone can point me to a funny joke that Jimmy Kimmel said, a stand-up, I would love to watch it. I don't know a funny joke of Jimmy Kimmel in existence. If you compiled a list of the top 20 comedians all over, Jimmy Kimmel wouldn't make the list. The top 50 wouldn't make it. The top 100, he wouldn't make it. So then again, how is he getting this most prestigious job that's paying him millions and millions to be funny when he's not funny? DEI hire? Perhaps they paid someone to take the IQ test. Yeah, this is not a shock. Biden was known for plagiarizing. He plagiarized multiple things. But, you know, people were calling him Uncle Joe. Yeah, what type of uncle? What type of uncle do y'all have that stands behind you, holds your shoulders and sniffs you? I'm cool. Like if my uncle did that, I'd be like, nigga, if you don't get your hands off me. Get your hands off me, damn it. But yeah, apparently Uncle Joe is the type to come behind you, get real close to you and sniff you. I'm cool. I don't want no uncle like that. Give me my space. Son, like, I'm loving the fro, you know what I mean? But I mean, do your uncles get behind you and sniff your, you know, you know, the dark and lovely? Did they get behind and sniff? I'm cool, bruh. Get the hell away from me if you on that type time. But I'm about to pull up another video, and this story will be rather disturbing. And since Roger is in here for only 10 more minutes left, I'm gonna try to at least cover this while Roger is still here. So actually, while I'm pulling this up, give me 30 seconds to just get this story. And in that time, hopefully, y'all hit your boy with the like. So, uno momento.
Be easy, be easy. He is that dude. It's plain and obvious. A certified professional, ain't never been a hobbyist. He is one of the nicest, realest, coldest, and dopest. So you should take notice. Woo! That dude, be easy. That dude, be easy. That dude, show love and support to B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Be easy, be easy. Ooh.
And we are back. So this story is rather disturbing. A deranged woman throws dynamite at her boyfriend and he loses his hand. Yikes. So let's get into this article. Now, if you're in this type of relationship where it's that toxic, where you have to threaten to throw dynamite at someone, get out of the relationship. Seek help. You know, this is really no laughing matter, you know what I mean? But let's get into this article, though. And y'all can look this story up, but I'm going to read through this article with y'all. Boyfriend's hand blown off after woman throws dynamite at him while he was asleep. This is the woman right here. Yikes. I ain't gonna lie, she do look scary. It's the thuggish ruggish. Damn. Woo, woo, chicken head. Woo, woo. Damn, girl, look a little bit rough, you know what I mean? But let's see. Let's get into the story. Hold on. Give me one moment. Her name is Kiana Waddle, 35, was found guilty. So Kiana faces 25 years in prison after she was found guilty of throwing a stick of dynamite at her sleeping boyfriend. Many couples have explosive arguments. You see what they did there? Pun intended, obviously. Many couples have explosive arguments, but Kiana Waddle took the situation far too literally when she, I guess they took the situation, I guess they mixed it up. They were saying she took the situation too far when she tossed the dangerous ordinance. Man, this person needs to get a spell check, man. At least use AI to spell check this. I don't even know how this got posted. So Waddle was found guilty after a jury, and they said they charged her with assault in the first degree, criminal possession of a weapon in the first degree, and this is according to Suffolk County District Attorney Raymond Tierney. The Suffolk County Attorney's Office statement said the attack happened in 2024 in Suffolk County, New York, when Waddle and her partner had an argument inside his apartment, after which the victim left and instructed Waddle to leave. So hold on. They're saying it was his apartment. She left and told him to leave? Like, hold on. This is my place. How you going to tell me to leave? Whose place is this, right? This is where the story gets a little bit confusing. When Waddle and her partner had an argument inside his apartment. Sounds like it's his apartment. After which the victim left and instructed Waddle to leave. So he left and said, hey, this my place. Get up out of here, right? When he returned home, Waddle did not appear to be there, and the victim went to bed. So he said, hey, B-I-E-I-E-I-itch, you got to get up out of here. You don't got to go home. Well, this ain't your home no more, but you got to get up out of here. So then he left, he did his thing, and he came home, and he was like, finally, she's out of here. So then he went to sleep. But he was awoken by a hissing sound, and he saw a flame on the floor of his bedroom. Upon getting up, he realized that an object resembling a stick of dynamite had been thrown into his bedroom. He attempted to extinguish the explosive device, which was unsuccessful. He then picked up the device in an attempt to throw it outside. Bro, how wasn't you able to extinguish it? How strong was that flame? Like, bro, I don't get it. Like, you should have thrown a pillow on it. You should have, I don't know, bro. Why he didn't stomp it out? How was he not able to extinguish that flame? I just don't know. Was that flame that robust? Because usually you're able to step and stomp out the flame. Or, I don't know. He was trying to throw it outside. I don't know. Either way, before he can get outside, the explosive detonated in his hand. He felt searing pain, and then he realized that his hand was gone. He ran to the end of the driveway and observed Waddle fleeing the scene. So she threw the device in there. She stuck around. Then she saw him running, trying to discard the dynamite. And then bada boom, bada bam. Now he doesn't have a hand. The evidence from the trial states that the man was transported to the police by Nassau University Medical Center, where the remainder of his hand and part of his arm was amputated. So it wasn't just his hand. Part of his arm had to get amputated. Waddle was arrested on March 23rd, 2024, following an investigation which revealed that she had threatened the victim with dynamite several times. So this wasn't her first time. She was going around threatening him. Man, if you don't do right by me, I'ma blow your ass up. So she could, I don't get that. I've heard people say, hey, I'm going to cut up your clothes. I'm going to bleach your carpet. She's actually going around threatening people with dynamite. But not only she lived up to the threat, who just has dynamite laying around to threaten their boyfriends with? Is this what they do in Nassau and Suffolk County? Domestic violence can escalate to deadly levels, and this is a case of a sobering reminder of that reality, said District Attorney Tierney. Thanks to the outstanding work of our prosecutors and the Suffolk County Police Department, a dangerous individual has been held accountable and will face lengthy prison sentence for this horrific act. So on April 24th, 26, which was a few days ago, Waddle was convicted after a jury trial held before Supreme Court Justice Richard Horowitz. She was charged assault in the first degree, a Class B violent felony, and criminal possession of a weapon in the first degree, a Class B violent felony. Waddle was due back in court for sentencing May 27th and faces up to 25 years in prison. She is being represented by Eric Besso, Esquire. So, yes, the investigation was conducted by Detective John Caricia of the Suffolk County Police Department. So what do y'all think about this, right? Boyfriend's hand blown off after woman throws dynamite at him. How could this have been avoided? I'm going to see what y'all saying in the chat. Let me just leave this right here. How could this have been avoided? So Roger says, I got to check the local paper out there. I'm like, Roger, do you know this chick? Now that I think about it, like, hey, Roger, This one of your exes, Roger? She in your hometown. I gotta ask. You know all these other people, right? You know the dude from Kid and Play. You know, you and the Minky Cons used to have a little thing. Was this one of your little boo things, Roger? You know, I'm just asking, Roger, was this one? But I'm just saying, you dodged the bullet, or at least you dodged some dynamite. Good thing that you broke up with her when you did, Roger, or you might not have a hand to be driving that rig that you in. Yikes. And like Red Six said, only 25 years. That's what I'm saying. She blew the dude's hand off and part of his arm in only 25 years. That does seem fairly generous to me. But do y'all think that what do you think the dude, should he have picked the dynamite up? Should he just have ran out the room? If he had time to pick up the dynamite to try to throw it out, I just would have ran out the house, because if the dynamite blew off his hand, clearly it wasn't that much of an explosive dynamite to blow up the entire house. So I just would have let the room. If it blew up your bed, it blew up your TV, it blew up your dresser, at least you still would have had your hand and part of your arm. Now, because this chick couldn't control herself, because he gave her the boot and said, "Hey, chick, you gotta go." Was she the true homosexual? Because once he kicked her out, why was she still there? He said you had to go. You had to kick rock with no pit stops and flip-flops while listening to hip hop. Baby, you gotta go. But she said, "All right, I'll go. I'll go, daddy." And then she came back, and then all he heard was boom. This is a sick and twisted story, but if you hate these people, if y'all are having much dysfunction in your relationship, just break up, right? There's plenty of fish in the sea, but I get it. The economy is rough, man. Maybe she just needed a couch to sleep on, but I'm sure there's plenty of simps that would have let her play, that let her stay. I don't get it, but damn, she threw her life away, and now the dude ain't gonna never be the same. It's unfortunate. It really is. And Roger says she's been watching too many Good Time episodes. Is it Good Times? I don't know. Restraining order. I mean, would it matter now if bro lost his hand and part of his arm? Do you think he's thinking about a restraining order? I'm not saying he shouldn't get one. I don't think he'll need to now, because she's allegedly going to get 25 years or more. But all the dude is thinking, all he thinking about is what he could have done differently with the dynamite, right? Because let's just say it blew up his room, it blew up his TV, it blew up his bed. He still would have his hands, right? Most of these places have renter's insurance. I'll assume that he didn't have renter's insurance. He still could have sued her. She would have went to jail. He still could have had a civil suit against her. Now part of his hand, part of his arm is gone. I don't know how he wasn't able to put it out. Like, he should have been able to throw something on it and just put it out. I will say too, now that I'm thinking about this, I'm trying to think of ways that if this happened to me, right, I woke up and something was hissing. Y'all need to keep keep a water bottle in your room, like a canteen or something like that. He could have grabbed the water bottle real quick in this hypothetical scenario and poured the water on it to put the dynamite out. Or fine, she hissed and it was in her room. Bruh, you should have just bolted out the room, bolted out of the house. So now your room is exploded, but you still have your hand. Now, these are all shoulda, coulda, wouldas. This is just what I would have done. Not saying that this person is at fault. Clearly, it was this disgusting woman on the screen who threw the dynamite at him. But damn, I mean, what do y'all think? Am I wrong? What would y'all have been doing with the dynamite? Would y'all have tried to throw it? Would y'all have picked it up? Would y'all have tried to step on it? I've seen lighting the dynamite is like how when people light fireworks and stuff. Those things are easy to stomp out if you get it in time. Once it reaches its peak, it's gonna blow up. That's why I was like, you should have just ran out. And Red Six says, where do you even get a stick? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, who is this chick? Like, it's funny, bro. People can't find a job, but they can always find some sort of artillery, right? It's crazy. You can't find a job, but you can find a stick of dynamite. This is wild. And like I said, where Brooklyn at? Forget Brooklyn. I thought they would do this in Brooklyn. They doing this in Nassau and Suffolk County? Are you kidding me? Where did she even get a dynamite? She worked for Acme? Yeah, probably. I'm waiting for Wile E. Coyote to come out. And it's funny because she blew him up like the Wile E. Coyote, and then she took off running like the Road Runner. Parallel universe. And like Sunlight said, the red flags were ignored. But this is the thing. When people are in love or in lust, those red flags start looking like Six Flags. Roger Meadow, come get your B-I-E-I-E-I-itch. You get more time for nonviolent drug offenses than you do for attempted deletion. And this was truly disgusting. And I think even Jeezy said it, like, you get more time for selling dope than you do for murder. That's wild. You can body somebody and say, I'm an op stopper. You feel me? I dropped 2 of them cats. And the dude is like, yeah, I sold, 2 tons of weed to some voluntary people who want to smoke. You're a criminal and you must be stopped. Why? Because I sold a bunch of weed to people who love smoking weed, right? And now they lock you up. And then now guess what, many non-black people are doing? Selling metric tons of weed. Hey, bro, it's legal. It's not like when you were doing it. It's the same plant. Yeah, but now we signed some paper and it's legal, bro. Okay. And you said, I got extra bats today. Okay, yeah. All right, got you. Yeah, thank you. And y'all let me know, is my audio okay? And shout out to Hoshep B1 fam. I haven't seen you here, so Hoshep, salute.
Oh, damn. Stop the press. Wait a minute. I know you. Wait a minute.
Hoshep for show tep in building. Salute to the B1 fam. And y'all let me know if y'all can hear me clearly, because I think maybe my mic was having some issues. So y'all let me know. And Red 6 says, that's crazy to suggest blowing someone up with dynamite. I would have been done with her when she said that. Yeah, and this is crazy. She's been threatening dude. She kept saying, nigga, I'ma blow you up with some dynamite. Nigga, I'ma blow your ass up, nigga. Like, so she was threatening this nigga, right? And then dude was probably like, yeah, whatever, bitch. Get your funky ass on, right? And then one day he kicked her out and she came and he thought the coast was clear and she lived up to that promise. It's unfortunate. You said I meant you have extra bars today. I can't multitask. Okay. Thanks, Tudneys. I was like, damn, is the audio tweaking? Because I did have some issues where I had accidentally muted yesterday. And shout out. Hoshep says, dang, I'm just saying this is what happened. Did you see this story, Hoshep? Because I think you just came in. I'm just saying what happened. Boyfriend's hand blown off after woman throws dynamite at him while he was asleep. Let me run through it one more again before I transition to this story, right? He kicked her out. This was his home, right? When he returned home, she didn't appear to be there. He went to bed. He was awoken by a hissing sound and saw a flame at the door of his bedroom. Upon getting up, he realized that an object resembling a stick of dynamite had been thrown into his bedroom. He attempted to extinguish the explosive device, which was unsuccessful. He then picked up the device in an attempt to throw it outside. Before he could get outside, the explosive detonated in his hand. He felt searing pain and realized that his hand was gone. He ran to the end of the driveway and observed Waddle fleeing the scene on foot. So he had to get most of his hand. He had to get his hand and a lot of his arm amputated because this chick threw an explosive device at him. And this was all because he told her to get out. And maybe they were having some issues with their relationship. But if that relationship is that toxic, then you need to get out of that relationship. I will never be in a relationship with someone that I feel that I need to threaten them with dynamite. Like, bitch, if you don't make me a sandwich, I'm going to blow your ass up with dynamite. Huh? It's like, bitch, if you don't put your mouth and drink this man milkshake, I'm going to blow you up with dynamite. Huh? Like, bruh, that sounds extremely toxic. So both of them are at fault because this dude, he should have kicked her out a long time ago. He should have got a restraining order. But he's not at fault for her being an irresponsible imbecile and throwing a stick of dynamite into his room. But how would y'all have handled this? Would y'all have picked it up and tried to throw it out? Like I said, I would have just ran out the room and whatever in that room would have had to get blown up, right? Because that's what she did. Once he said he ran out to the driveway, she was running out. So clearly the dynamite didn't blow her up because she was hiding and she ran out. If he would have ran straight out of his room, he would have been good. If he had time to try to extinguish it, that didn't work. And then he had time to grab it and hold it and run to the door. Bro, you had time to run out. And I'm not trying to victim blame because this didn't deserve to happen to him. I'm just, hindsight 2020, right? Monday quarterbacking to see like, this is unfortunate. And I'm just thinking about if, Lord forbid, some crazy kooky person ever throws some dynamite in my room. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just jump out the window or throw it back at him, But it looks like Silo says, you said, where's Tampon Timmy? He might come back later. I think that's why I'm gonna get ready to transition to this next story so I can shut it down, and then I'm gonna come back on at like 6:30 or 7 and see if Tampon Timmy and Eric show up. But you said the hindsight is casual sex is not so casual to most people. It's a life sentence. This is a kind of terrifying statement that you said because some people, they just want to get their willy wet, right? They just want to slide in some ooey, gooey, slippery vagina. But sometimes it's a lot deeper than that. You know what I mean? It gets deeper. Shout out to John Sin. But she said they think sex is ownership and marriage is a scam. Yeah, that is true, right? Because, sometimes chicks will do that, right? If a person put it down and then they think that you got that dope D, they like, this my D, right? It's like, no, it's not. You know what I mean? I just gave you a little dose of the chocolate bar, but that don't mean it's yours. If he kicked her out, how would she even get back in? She would have been locked out completely. Well, he probably kicked her out and sometimes he probably kicked her out. Who knows if it was permanent? He probably was just like, bitch, you got to go. And he probably thought she was going to stay at her mama house for a few days and come back. Who knows? Because, and we don't know if this happened in the course of a day where he was like, get out of here. Because let's say you kick somebody out today. Usually people don't have the locks changed that same day. So there's a lot of nuance and critical details that we're missing. So I'm just going off what's been publicly reported. Start typing up legal documents to have on deck. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you do have to preemptively predict how some of these situations are going to turn out, especially once you see these red flags and see how toxic and unhinged these situation gets. Yeah, it goes both ways. Correct. Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. It's not just one or the other. It's not a soul specific gender or sex that engages in this type of behavior. It's human behavior. So thank you all for checking that out. So I'm going to get ready to pull up this final story and then I might come back later. Actually, I will come back later in about a few hours because a couple people, they acted like they wanted to smoke and they wanted to debate. So you know what? I'm going to come back. I'm going to drop the link. If they don't come, then, I'll just engage with the chat and then we will shut her down. Cause I know my boy Big Rig is going live later today around 8 p.m. So, y'all tune in for that as well. So let me get ready to pull this final story up. Let me see if I could find it. Y'all just give me uno momento. And actually, while I'm looking for that story, hold on. I thought I had it here. Actually, my apologies. Let me just hit y'all with a quick visual until I can pull this story up. And y'all can hit the like button. I'll be right back.
That is nasty, bro, like a nasty. Oh, I got a nasty flow. My baddie, though, is a classy bro. I manage her and she escort. International exports. I got hardware, my tech support. Really about that business, cause I'm that dude that you just adore. Used to be on that block, equipped with a Glock. I sold all kind of dope. 10 toes down on the pavement. I send that bitch like an envelope. Enclosed with a love letter. I love cheddar, so I grind hard. I be putting that work in, but I ain't punching no time card when it comes to being a boss, nigga. I am the epitome. You keep hating, belly aching, but it takes more to get rid of me. I am full of energy, but I ain't feeling jittery. I'm just grinding, shining like a diamond, looking glittery. Literally, I just left the bank to deposit racks. Holla back, don't want no shoes and clothes because my closet's packed. I got hella different kicks just like Lionel Messi. Still be rocking Jordans, but I prefer Giuseppe.
Okay, so now we are back at it. So this story that I'm going to do, hold on, involves the obsession with the Confederate flag. And many people that love to fly the Confederate flag, they truly don't know the Confederate history. And that's okay if you want to fly the Confederate flag, but know exactly why you're flying that flag. Know exactly the history of what you're representing. Say it with your full chest. Don't try to embrace the Confederate flag and say it just means heritage or it just means this. No, it doesn't. The people, the founders, the promulgators of the Confederacy, the sisters of the Confederacy, the daughters of the Confederacy, they had a specific meaning and purpose behind the Confederate flag. So don't try to whitewash it and pretend that is anything other than a symbol of vile, grotesque anti-blackness. Let's get right into it. So this video is from TYT Sports. It's titled, High School Racism Leaves Opponents Too Stunned to Speak. So this is some kids that are playing a all-white team in Southwest Virginia.
User Betty Loves gives us a peek into how some folks really feel about this country. She would then answer questions on the video.
So we had a home game at my predominantly black school, not segregated, just predominantly black, because the situation that our school's in is we're a boarding school for like less fortunate kids. We have students that come from all over the world coming, and usually it's placed in Africa. So we have a lot of people of color here. And in the area that we're in, there's just not that many people that are African American or people of color. So the situation was that we were at a home game on our turf or on our court, and we're playing a school who goes by the Rebels, and their mascot is the rebel flag, which is the Confederate flag.
Let's pause here and revisit another clip that remains a show favorite and fits within this story quite well.
This is my heritage. My family fought to save their farm under this flag. Who was working that farm? My family was. Who was working the farm? They were poor. Do you know how much a slave cost back then?
How much a slave cost? Boy, you just played yourself. I don't even think he know he played himself. You know, like we was a bag of cereal. Like the gas prices was too high. Like we was in a recession. Boy, what are you talking about?
And unfortunately, another.
Just keep it flying.
Keep it flying? And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery. And they might have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. They're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
And see, this is where the dude, for one, even the interviewer, he's even whitewashing the questions. They might have a valid point when they say that. It's not about having a valid point. It's facts. It's facts. He's over here trying to hedge and say, yeah, well, some would say this. It's not about what some would say. What did the founders of the Confederacy say? And then people were trying to say, well, that's what their opinion, man. It's not really about slavery. It's about our heritage. Yeah. What did the people who created the flag say? And this is where it gets the intellectual cowardice comes in, because these are the people who purport to be the high IQ. So how don't they know this stuff? So either they don't know it, which means their IQ isn't as high as they claim it is, or they do know it and they're playing dumb, which is extremely disingenuous. Like, how could you respect that?
And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery. And they might have some valid points there.
So you see, some people would say that it symbolizes this, and they might have some valid points. So he's not saying in the affirmative that it does symbolize that. He's not saying that they're making factual points. He's saying that they have some valid points. Like, no, they're stating facts. He is over here trying to say, oh, well, maybe they have some valid points. So he's leaving it up for speculation. They could have some valid points. They could be exaggerating. No, if they made any of those claims or assertions that he just listed off, they would be stating a fact. He knows this. So why is he hedging? But at the same time, pretending that he's against the Confederacy, right? So won't you just say it with your chest?
Keep it flying? And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery. And they might have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. They're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment, but thank you for the interview.
I'll give you one more chance. Pro or anti-slavery?
No comment.
I'll give you one more opportunity to say if you're pro or anti-slavery.
No comment.
So remember these people, I never owned any slaves. And then you ask them, hey, are you pro-slavery? No comment. Do you condone slavery? No comment. I never owned any slaves. All these people say this, just like how that dude earlier said, do you know how much a slave costs? When they say I never owned slaves, all they're saying is that they were poor peasants who couldn't afford slaves. If they had the means to afford a slave, they would have gotten one. And then the argument would have shifted from I never owned slaves to, well, everybody owned slaves. Slavery was global. So then it turns into I never owned slaves to, yeah, I owned slaves, but so what? Everyone else did, right? But if you use that logic with anything else, it will fall apart. If somebody said everybody is doing incest and having incestuous relationships, so would you make love to your sister then? Hell no. Everybody is jumping off the cliff. So would you just say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice my life and jump over a cliff, right? Everybody is smoking fentanyl. So there's no argument fill in the blank that you can do. Everybody was enslaving people. So that somehow justifies you. Everybody wasn't doing that. But even if they were, you're saying that you're supposedly against this. You're about treating people equal, but yet enslaving people based on skin tone. What is equal about that? What is Christian about that? If it is so Christian, then clearly explain to me so I can understand it better, right?
All right. Well, there you have it. No comment pro or anti-slavery.
No comment.
All right. Well, there you have it. No comment on the if you're in favor of slavery or not.
I mean, the examples are quite endless here.
Why? No one's neighbor for what? It's an American flag. Oh no, so don't get a racist flag. It's not a racist flag. Yeah, it is. I'm not stupid. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, it's not a racist flag. Yeah, it is. It actually. Why don't you actually YouTube what the flag actually represents? Oh my God, when I don't know what it actually looks like. Do your research before you actually come to me and sound like. And
You know what? I'm glad that he said that. Do your research. And this is what a lot of people need to do. It's my flag. It's about my heritage. Huh? What heritage are you even talking about? Many of these people are coming from, first of all, it was about southern states, right? They always like to talk about the Jim Crow South. And then they say my heritage. It's like, you ain't from the South, right? But then they'll say, but I'm white. Okay. So let's see, right? Let's get into this thing. Give me uno momento and we will get into it. Was the Confederacy an act of treason or rebellion? Now, mind you, this that I'm pulling up is going to be even the whitewashed version. This is not even the harsh version. This is the whitewashed, impartial version. But the definition of treason, the action of betraying someone or something, but more specifically, the crime of betraying one's own country, especially by attempting to unalive the sovereign or overthrow the government. That's what the definition of treason is. From this perspective, the Confederacy was a rebellion against the Union. Now, they're using it, like I said, in this more sanitized language, but the rebellion against the Union was a treasonous act. Southern states seceded unilaterally in 1860 to 1861. Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter, initiating war. So if you're initiating war within your country, causing a civil war, how is that not treasonous? They love to talk about George Floyd and BLM, right? George Floyd is supposed to be a monster because he allegedly got high off fentanyl and had a counterfeit 20. But somehow the Confederate people who did a treasonous, barbaric act against the whole entire country that people love, right? I'm America first. And that's why I fly a Confederate flag. You mean the flag of the traitors, of the treasonous, treacherous snakes? That's who you want to fly a flag of? The Union stated goal at the outset was preserving the United States as one nation. The Confederates were completely against America first, right? All the America first, make America great again. You make America into one sovereign nation. How could you praise that, but then try to praise the Confederate flag, who was against that? And they committed a treasonous war to show how vehemently against that they were. So legally, the U.S. treated secession as illegal. So Confederates were rebels. You see how they call them rebels, but they don't call them treasonous traitors. Yeah, rebel is just a euphemism for treason. But even look at the whitewashed, sanitized version of this. Calling it treason reflects the Union legal view. Calling it secession reflects the Confederate justification. Both are used in historical discussion, but the U.S. government never recognized their legitimacy, right? And all we have to do, because people will try to talk about being tough on crime, you do the crime, you do the time. Guess what happened with these Confederates, right? Did they do the time? The Confederates who waged a war against the country, you would think that those are the people who should be lynched. You would think those would be the people who should be put in front of a firing squad. Is that what happened to them? Hell to the no. Look what happened to those treasonous people. Treason is punishable by death. But did that happen to these trading Confederate cowards? No, that's not what happened. What did the Confederacy explicitly stand for? So this dude was saying, won't you look it up? Look it up. Okay, I did look it up. All you have to do is look up the cornerstone speech, and that will tell you everything that you need to know. But Confederate Vice President Alexander Stephens said, and this was in the cornerstone speech, he said, Black people are not equal and slavery is their natural condition. This is what the vice president of the Confederacy said. And then these people talking about, it's just about my heritage. What, your heritage that Black people are not equal? Your heritage that believes slavery is our natural condition? Historians widely agree that the foundation and the ideological premise of the Confederacy was the preservation of slavery. And this was their central cause of the secession. Confederate ideology placed slavery and racial hierarchy at its core. It's just about my heritage. Yeah, your heritage that placed slavery and racial hierarchy at its core. This isn't about you. This is what the leaders of the Confederates said. They have the secession documents. You can look the secession documents up now. You can read through them. You don't want to read through them. You just want to fly the flag and say, but my heritage. Well, the secession documents, for example, Texas declared government was established exclusively by and for the white race. Black people were considered inferior and dependent. Slavery was justified as a natural and divinely sanctioned condition. This is what they codified into their legal lexicon. This is what they codified and imprinted and instilled in the minds of the masses. This is not a modern reinterpretation. This is what they said about themselves at the time of secession. All you have to do is look up the cornerstone speech. They were saying Black people are they're not equal. They were calling us Negroes and i.e. niggers, right? Does that sound part of your heritage? If your heritage is calling us niggers, then just say that. Don't try to pretend as if you're flying this flag because it has some sort of virtuous meaning. It's a disgusting symbol of racial terror and bigotry. And if that's what you're about, okay, just lean into it. Stop being a moist maniac. Stop acting like a whole B-I-E-I-E-I-itch and say it with your chest. Unlike the U.S. Constitution, which was ambiguous on slavery, the Confederate Constitution made slavery explicit and permanent. So what the U.S. Constitution is, they tried to say, look, we still want slavery, but we have to get cunning with the language. Meanwhile, the Confederates said, no, fuck those niggas. We don't like them. And we need to codify it and write it boldly, explicitly in law. So their key provisions protected slave property. They said no law could impair property in Negro slaves. So they're essentially saying that, yeah, you're going to be a slave for life and there's no law that can make you not be a slave. There was a required expansion of slavery. So new territories must recognize, but not only recognize, but protect slavery. It prevented abolition. The Confederate States could not legally eliminate slavery. So even if they owned slaves for 10 years and they say, you know what, this ain't right, we want to end it. under these Confederate governmental provisions, you wouldn't be able to. And this contradicts the common, it's about states' rights. So they talk about it being states' rights until it came to slavery. Yeah, y'all got state rights, but you better not free those niggas. We want them to be slaves forever and ever, right? The central government enforced it. So when they try to pretend as if slavery only happened over here, no, it didn't. They had fugitive slave laws and they codified in law that slavery would be permitted everywhere. And then the places that it didn't say that explicitly, it was done in common law. The Confederate Army's motivations and complexity, what soldiers were fighting for, right? And this is evidence from letter and scholarly research. Many soldiers saw slavery as a part of the system they were defending, right? So many people, even the ones that say, I never owned any slaves, but many of them were fighting to protect slavery, even though slavery undermined the white population, the peasant population. If you're a peasant looking for work, why would a plantation owner hire you when they have slaves to do the work for free? And all they had to do was just say that, hey, you know what? You have this premium whiteness, even though, you know, you're fleeing famine, filth, and feudalism. You know, be proud that you're not like those niggers, right? And that was your reparations, right? Until they seen that, hey, that wasn't enough. Many of these white people, they didn't have any skills, which is why they were talking about, bring us your sick, your tired, your poor. Well, they had a lot of sick, tired people who they deemed unuseful until they said, hey, you know what? These people are highly unskilled. We have to give them free land, goodies, giveaways, and guarantees, i.e. the Homestead Act, where they gave away millions of acres for free to peasant farmers, right? They had to have sharecropping and have the black people teach them how to cultivate the land and do these skills so they can transition them into an industry and say, hey, now that you guys have these skills, we don't need the niggas anymore, so we can just subjugate them. As a matter of fact, we'll overly criminalize them so we still get cheap and free labor, i.e. via the prison system, the prison industrial complex. That's supposed to be about eliminating recidivism so people don't come back and forth and be jailbirds. But no, they would prefer people come back and forth and put out dangerous fires and make all sorts of goods for low to no cost. So others fought for local loyalty, state, family, and land, defense against invasion, economic survival. Not every soldier owned slaves, but they operated within a system built on slavery and racial hierarchy. I never owned any slaves. Yeah, but you didn't do anything to overturn and or eradicate slavery. All you did was watch slaves be mistreated and say, well, I never owned one. Imagine there was a sick, grotesque, disgusting pedo, and you knew that they were molesting kids over and over and over and forcibly penetrating them. But you personally, you never did it, but you knew that the person was doing that. I never touched any kids. Yeah, but you knew that the person was touching kids and you didn't do shit about it. So you would say that's complicit, right? America is the land of guilty by association. If it's a bunch of thugs on the corner that have criminal records and you're standing next to those thugs and you're dressed like them, but you have a squeaky clean record, they're going to say, hey, man, you are who you hang with, bro. If you wasn't a thug, why would you be hanging out with these thugs? You ain't going to be able to say, I never did a drive-by. I'm just hanging out with these gangsters. People will be like, yeah, we don't believe that you never did anything, right? And that's how it is with any other analogy. You never owned any slaves. It's just you were complicit with the slave owner, mistreating people, buck breaking them and all that stuff. And I never owned any slaves. It wouldn't be for a lack of desire. It just would be a lack of resources. Think of it like this. Someone that says they never owned a Lamborghini is because they couldn't afford one. If you offer them the keys of a Lamborghini, they will take the car and drive it. The people that say they never owned any slaves, if they were offered a slave, they would have owned a slave. So what is the point of saying that you didn't own one when you would have owned one given the opportunity? And then you will make an excuse about it. Everybody did it. No, they didn't. So in terms of Christianity and the moral contradiction, Confederate leaders frequently used Christian justification for slavery. Secession documents claim slavery was supported by the revealed will of the Almighty, right? So they were saying this is our natural condition, and they were using Christianity to do that. So when they say this is a white Christian nation, are you talking about this type of white Christianity? The white Christianity that says the white race is superior and we should enslave those niggers, right? This is the Christianity and the white porcelain God that you're praying to, right? So the contradiction is Christianity teaches moral equality and human dignity. So they're saying we're morally righteous. We see humans as dignified, except those niggers, right? What is Christian about that? The Confederacy explicitly argued that black people were inherently inferior and enslavement was morally justified. But then if you get a group and say, you know what, maybe they were right. It was morally justified to enslave those black people. So then if you see a group of some beautiful young girls, one named Joanne, another one named Karen, another one named Becky, and you say, you know what? I want to see better for the white race. I want to see better for these women. So I'm just going to enslave them. That would be morally justified, right? It will be the will of the Almighty. Then they'll start telling you, no, they're white. They can't be enslaved. Okay, so if I find 3 Jewish girls, could I enslave them? 3 African girls, could I enslave them? 3 Asian girls, could I enslave them? Since slavery is so morally justified, but they only say it's justified for a particular demographic. It's not justified for you to enslave their daughter. But hey, she'll learn skills. I'll treat her right. You know what I mean? I won't give her any lashes. So they try to pretend as if it was morally justified, but only for a particular time period. If it was justified then, it should be justified now. If slavery was horrible back then that means it's horrible now. So which one is it? And then they always try to pivot to slavery into some other place. They still have slavery going on in this part of the world, but I'm not in that part of the world. I'm not a citizen of that part of the world. And here's the saying that's been coming up lately. I'm not subject to the jurisdiction of any of those other places. So why are you even bringing them up, right? Historians often describe this as a religious rationalization of an economic and racial system, not a neutral theological position, right? So these theologians, some of them try to use the Christian teachings to justify slavery, but then they only want to enslave a particular demographic. But if slavery is cool, why do you gotta make it about race? Right? People should be enslaved regardless of their racial or ethnic background, right? If slavery is so good, since they're trying to say that everybody was a slave. Okay, cool. If everybody was a slave, then you should be used to enslavement. And you should have no issues if someone enslaves your daughter, your mama, your wife, because they'll learn skills, right? So organized cultural support, right? Because when they just think about the whole bigots, right? This is the whole thing. When people think of white supremacy, they think about a dude, right? But they don't think about the women who enabled them, who raised them, actually who birthed them, right? So it wasn't just the Confederates. There was the sisterhood of the Confederacy. And then there were groups like the United Daughters of the Confederacy. And they promoted the lost cause narrative. They framed Confederates as noble. So these Confederates that were going around calling black people niggers, they're saying that white people are the superior race and that we should continuously enslave these niggers into perpetuity. The United Daughters of Confederacy were framing them as noble, and they're just doing what they had to do. They downed slavery as a cause and saying that it was what some would call a necessary evil. They funded monuments, school textbooks, public memory campaigns, and this is where it gets cowardly and pathetic. Fine. You want to have a monument? Tell them exactly what they truly did. Right now, they want to convince you that Bill Cosby is the worst person in the world because of whatever they allege that he did. Fine. Let's say all of this disgusting things that Bill Cosby did, but could we also have a litany of the good things that he done? No, he's a monster. We only have to talk about the bad. Okay, fine. When you want to talk about Thomas Jefferson, right? You want to talk about the good stuff. He did a lot of bad and disgusting things. But if you talk about it, that's being woke. How is it being woke? By telling the truth. And there's nothing wrong with being woke, because being woke means that you're alert, awakened, and enlightened. I'll be woke, but it's funny that when there's a figure that they don't like, they say, here, let's put all this bad, disgusting stuff on them. But when there's a Confederate traitor that they do like, here, let's build a monument and whitewash him and pretend as if he was a great man. He was a father. Yeah, he was a father that was a rapist, a pedo, an enslaver. Let's tell it all, right? Maybe he was a good dad, but he was a bad slave master. Could two things be right? Right? George Washington and his teeth, whose teeth were those? Right? So these whitewashing of history has helped reshape public understanding for generations, often minimizing slavery. So I'm going to get into this, because I know I've been going, but let me see what the chat has to say. Hold on. And salute to Big Rig, still rocking out in here. You said the funny part about the Confederate flag wavers is that most of them have no lineage or ties to those people. They wave the flag of losers. And this is what I'm trying to say. It's about my heritage. What heritage are you talking about? And like you said, they're waving the flag of losers, bro. Y'all know how we are in America, bro. If you at the Olympics and you get silver, people like, oh, damn, man, you didn't get gold? That's how it is in America, right? People are pissed if they got gold. They're infuriated if they get bronze. They're utterly disgusted if they don't make the podium. So the Confederates got their butts smacked around. They were losers. Lahu Sahar. In the Jim Carrey voice, right? Loser lunatics. But yet you're flying the flag of losers? Whoever wins the NBA championship this year, who won the NFL? I think it was the Seahawks, right? That's like saying, man, F the Seahawks, man, it's Patriots on mine. You mean the team that got smacked around? Yeah, man, but it's the Patriots, man. Okay. But you realize that they lost. No, the Patriots really won because it's about my heritage. That's how stupid you look and sound by flying this disgusting flag and pretending I'm America first by flying the flag of some traitors who want to destroy America. If they had it their way, this wouldn't be America. But yet you want to fly that flag? How idiotic could you be? You said LA who, sirs? But hold on. But y'all can still see this, right? So the language dehumanization and racial ideology. So the primary documents and speeches repeatedly use racial slurs, i.e. calling us niggers, and degrading language. It framed the black people as property, inferior beings, and social threats if freed. This language wasn't incidental. It was structural to the ideology. And there has been long-term effects on foundational Black Americans. The Confederacy defeat did not end this ideology. The immediate aftermath, there were Black codes which restricted our freedom. There was a violent backlash, all sorts of paramilitary groups, similar to how they have now with the Proud Boys, Patriots Front and Oath Keepers and things like that, Ku Klux Klan. There's been long-term entrenched systems, Jim Crow laws, segregation, disenfranchisement. So the cultural legacy, the Confederate symbols were tied to white supremacy movements, resistance to civil rights. And there were a lot of Democrats that resisted as well. There have been modern debates over Confederate symbols, what they're connected to, and whether they represent heritage or a system built on racial hierarchy. But if you say they represent heritage, what heritage and whose heritage? They told you what heritage they represented. Their heritage is that Black people should be enslaved forever. Forever. That's what they said about slavery. That's what the heritage they're trying to promote. So when you talk about my heritage, why don't you say that you believe that Black people are inferior? Because that's what the Confederate leaders thought. So what is often misunderstood and oversimplified is true. Slavery and white supremacy were central and explicit. The Confederacy codified those beliefs into law. I present to you the cornerstone speech. All you got to do is just look that up. Also true. Not every Confederate soldier had identical motivations. Economic, regional, and political factors also mattered. So the misleading claims is it was mainly about states' right, which is incomplete, and that slavery was secondary. This is all contradicted by the primary documents. They didn't say slavery was secondary. It was central and it was core to what they believed. So it wasn't secondary, it was primary. So the final synthesis is, if you strip away later narratives and look strictly at original sources, the Confederacy was a breakaway government formed to protect and expand slavery. Its leaders openly stated that it was built on racial inequality. Its constitution ensured slavery would continue and expand. Its ideology required dehumanization of Black people. Its legacy contributed directly to long-term structural inequality affecting Black Americans. That doesn't mean teaching this history is about assigning personal blame today, but avoiding these facts can lead to a distorted understanding, which is exactly why many post-war narratives have tried to achieve. So that's a scholarly presentation for you. And let me pull this other video back up. I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to get ready to shut her down. And like I told you, I may come back in like an hour or so, just because there was some trolls in the chat, that was pretending that they had some smoke. So I'm going to just show up, drop the link. If they want to come up, have a discussion or a debate, then we'll get it in. Otherwise, I'll have to read them for filth. No, I may not read them for filth because they may not be worth it.
You're the one coming to me telling me to remove a flag. Yes. It's a freedom that flag flag. It's a flag, and it's not racist. Okay. Do your research. Maybe you should. Okay.
This is the flag the kid wanted me to remove. I see no problem with it at all.
But they also show how MAGA.
And I think that it's really not fair to try and a lot of people try and guilt white people about the slavery thing when you have still many cultures, non-white particularly, that own and sell slaves today. The Islamic slave trade is huge, well and alive. And we were talking
about America and the president of the United States.
Was one of the first countries to abolish slavery.
So this is the little cowardly argument that they always like to talk about. What about slavery that's everywhere else, right? If you and your sibling did something, and then you're about to get a spanking, right? Or about to get some BTA, right? Do you think that your parent is going to stop because you said, what about what my brother did? What about what my sister did? No, what about what you did? And this is what they always try to do. Yeah, well, we were bad with the slaves. We were bad with the chattel, treated them like chattel property, right? And then they don't try to draw the distinction. Yes, slavery was everywhere, but the type of chattel slavery that America had, that wasn't everywhere. All slavery practices are not created equal. But when we're talking about what was done on this land, why are you bringing up something that happened thousands of miles away? Yeah, we enslaved those niggers. I mean those blacks, but like other peoples had slaves too across the world. Look at the Islamists. We're not talking about Islamists. You're a heritage American, right? You're a Mayflower American, right? That's what we're talking about. Why are you bringing up Islam?
Show how MAGA.
And I think that it's really not fair to try and a lot of people try and guilt white people about the slavery thing.
Then I don't think it's fair. It's not fair, man. They're trying to guilt trip us, man. It's not fair. Life is not fair. Fair is a place where you judge pigs and eat funnel cake, preferably one with powdered sugar and a strawberry drizzle. Life is not fair. It's not fair, man. They're trying to guilt trip us, and then they're acting like victims, right? They tell black people, so what, you were called a nigger, get over it, right? But then if somebody is talking about, hey, you said that you are part of the group that conquered this land, right? So you want to take credit for the conquering, but you don't want to take credit for what was done when people were conquering, like the slaughtering of people, the poisoning of people, the slaughtering of buffaloes, the enslaving of people, the castrating, the lynching. We conquered you. Okay, fine. You conquered us, right? Tell us in explicit detail what y'all did when you conquered. You're being woke. You want us to feel like you want to blame us. No, I want you to take credit for what you actually did. You said you conquered, right? You didn't conquer by writing a letter and whispering sweet nothings in people's ears. What did you do? What limbs did you chop off? What people did you poison? What people did you grape? What people did you enslave? You're proud of the conquering until someone asks for gory details. So if you're ashamed, then just say that. You're ashamed, but then you're saying you want us to feel guilty. No, if you're not feeling guilty, then that means you're proud of what you're done. So if you're proud, then why won't you say explicitly what you done? You're proud of chopping up little babies. So just say that, right? You're proud of enslaving people. You're proud of bringing a Bible to watch a black man get lynched, right? You want me to feel guilty? No, I want you to feel proud of that because you actually are. So just say that you're proud of it. Don't say that someone's trying to guilt trip you, because no one is trying to guilt trip you. Every day there's some white dude named Chud the Builder running around Tennessee calling black people niggers and she-boons and all sorts of stuff, trying to get them to be triggered and attack him. And then he's armed and has pepper spray. So then he'll say they're chimping out and that's why I had to shoot him and all this type of stuff. You're not a victim. You're going around egging people on and trying to be a provocateur, but at the same time saying, you want us to feel guilty. Like, who is making them feel guilty? When they talk about cancellation, they'll say all sorts of contradictory things. They say black people have no power. You guys have no power. Okay, so cool. Then we weren't the ones canceling you. It was people that look like you. So go take it up with your community. People will get canceled by their own community and then shit on the black community. Somebody will say, nigger, nigger, nigger. They get fired by a white person. See, the black community is so sensitive. You didn't get fired by the black community. It was your white boss who fired you. But you have nothing to say about white people except, man, they want us to feel guilty. No one wants you to feel guilty for calling people nigger. You can continuously say nigger. And then when someone fires you, you fucked around and found out. You're not a victim.
Really not fair to try and a lot of people try and guilt white people about the slavery thing when you have still many cultures, non-white particularly, that own and sell slaves today. The Islamic slave trade is huge, well and alive, and we were
talking about America and the president of the United States.
Was one of the first countries to abolish slavery. America had it for one of the shortest amount of time.
You're right about that, right? Yeah. But there's an entire class of people in this country who are descended from people who were brought here as slaves.
They still had better lives here than they did back in Africa.
As slaves, they had better lives here.
There are some that would argue that. You can look that up.
So here he said they had better lives here than they did back in Africa. So first of all, bro, I'm not African and you don't speak for people. He can't speak for someone who was descended from Africa. So here's the argument that, hey, man, they were doing so bad in Africa. So like what? So slavery was cool? There's a lot of people struggling in Palestine right now in Gaza because they're being bombed to oblivion by the maniac genocidal Zio regime that Bibi Netanyahu is running. So would it be okay to enslave the Palestinians right now because Gaza is so bad? Nobody would make that argument, right? The Africans wanted to get enslaved because the enslavement was better than being in their homeland. This is the argument that he's making, because being free in your homeland allegedly was worse than being enslaved here. And this whole thing of just trying to make everyone African is just not even true, right? How long? All you have to do is look and see, when did they stop importing people from Africa, right? So after they stopped importing people from Africa, they still had a thriving slave trade. How was that able to happen? They still were producing significant numbers of slaves. How was that happening? Could it be that they had people that were being bred on this land? And I've heard somebody say, man, that ain't true, that's pseudo and all this stuff. It's like, bro, it's been documented, and you can just use your head. And there were a bunch of people that were already here who were just reclassified. If you didn't have the complexion for their protection, you were reclassified and subject to being enslaved. There were free people who were free, but due to the reclassification, now the law permits that they can be enslaved. So this whole thing that, man, we did them a favor by enslaving them, it's like, no, you didn't. And if they were doing a favor, if they were being done a favor, why'd you bring them here in chains? Here, we're bringing you over here in chains to, you know, treat you as less than human, but it's better than what you were doing in Africa. No, it's not. So don't make this argument as if it was some benevolent thing. There was a bunch of poor white people who were fleeing, who were poorer than some of these Africans. They didn't bring them over in chains. Instead, they brought them over here. Many of them had no skills, and they said, you know what? It's okay. You got the complexion. We'll give you some land. What is meritocratic about that?
America had it for one of the shortest amount of time.
You're right about that, right? But there's an entire class of people in this country who are descended from people who were brought here as slaves.
They still had better lives here than they did back in Africa.
As slaves, they had better lives here.
There are some that would argue that. You can look that up. Their descendants, the descendants of those slaves, have much better lives here than the descendants of people who would have never gotten on those slave boats in Africa. And that's a provable fact, you know.
And the Confederacy are so incredibly similar. They are intertwined.
I think that we do need God in our schools. We do.
And would you want there to be messages about slavery up for kids on school, like instructions on how to own slaves and things like that up in school?
Again, that happened, what, 250 years ago?
No, that's in the 10 Commandments.
The slavery?
Yeah.
What's the commandment?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's slave, ox, or donkey.
All right, enough of that. Back to Betty.
I'm just saying it's kind of weird to be parading a flag that represents.
Not only that, when people say slavery, how long ago was that? It was 200 years ago. Okay, how old is the Bible? She just said we need more Bible in the school, right? Don't talk about slavery because slavery was 200 years old, right? The Bible is approximately 2,500 to 3,500 years old, depending on the specific books and the traditions considered, right? So get over something that allegedly happened 200 years and just stopped, because it never stopped. But let's just say that it did, right? Slavery was 200 years ago. Get over it. But we need more of a Bible that's 3,500 plus years old, right? How old is the Constitution, right? The Constitution is over 200 years old, right? The Constitution clearly wasn't a perfect document, which is why they had to have these litanies of amendments to it. So these people try to make these arguments as if, and mind you, these are supposed to be the high IQ arguments. Look at the shirt that she has on. You probably can't see it, so let me pull this banner. The shirt says, I'm voting for the felon 2024. So they always go around talking about what about black on black crime, and they talk about felons in this. But then when their guy becomes a felon, and they're saying, "Hey, I don't care that he's a felon. I'm voting for the felon." See, felon is a dirty word. You could have been a felon for something that you did 20 years ago, but it sticks on your record. So they'll say, "I can't hire you. You got a felony." Yeah, this person turned his life around, right? And this person is probably mentoring youth, turned to new leaf, devoted to God. But because of that F word, you're a felon. I can't hire you, right? But somehow, or you're a felon. That's why you can't vote. But you can be a felon and be the president. And then these people who act like they're so Christian and morally righteous will say, hey, not only is he a felon, but I'm voting for that felon as well, right? Then they telling us, get over slavery. It was 200 years ago. But here, let me thump this 3,000-year-old book. Make it make sense.
Or donkey.
All right, enough of that. Back to Betty.
I'm just
Thy neighbor's slave, ox, covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not covet. Thy neighbors on how to own slaves and things like that up in school?
Again, that happened, what, 250 years ago?
No, that's in the 10 Commandments.
The slavery?
Yeah.
What's the commandment?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's slave, ox, or donkey.
All right, enough of that. Back to Betty.
I'm just saying it's kind of weird to be parading a flag that represents historically white enslavement of black people in front of a bunch of black little kids. It just feels weird. But honestly, the people around here aren't even like that bad. Like the people that around the place where I live, they're so sweet to us. Things like that. It's just some things like this just don't go addressed, and I feel like I was tired of it and I wanted to address it.
Can't blame her.
It doesn't really matter because they're not even going to be around next year.
One commenter would even ask her, hey, how did the administration handle all of this? Here was her answer.
I did communicate with the administration at my school, how hurt I felt by it and how hurt other people felt by it. And I feel like we had a very productive conversation about what we should do next time or what should happen next time. I mean, there won't be a next time, but I think it's just so important that we keep our little kids safe. And we are a Christian school, so allowing that kind of thing to occur on our campus is disgusting, especially for a place that is Christian.
But see, this is the whole thing, and this is where I call this that bloviating biblical bluster, but also the delusions as well. We're a Christian school, and this shouldn't be happening at a Christian school. Yeah, exactly. This is what exactly will happen at a Christian school. The Confederates were Christian. Many of those slave ships had Christian names. So what are we talking about here? So people have this kind of, enchanted view of what they believe Christianity is supposed to be. But if you look at many of the atrocities over the course of centuries, it's a lot of Christian heinous violence, right? Many of those people who were lynching black people, they were calling them niggers with a Bible in hand, calling themselves Christian. Bunch of those plantation owners, Christian. They gave, hey, we're Christian, but those slaves, even though the slaves thought that they were Christian, and many of them actually were Muslim, they said, no, we're going to give you the slave Bible. What is Christian about that? So there's been a lot of treacherous things. There's been a lot of disgusting things done in the name of Christianity. But you're supposed to pretend as if, no, that was just the bad Christians. The good Christians acts like this. Well, the good Christians were enslaving and lynching people.
The school essentially said to take down the original video because it had cuss words. So she would oblige, but put up the same exact video with different audio underneath. It still lives on her page to this day. Now, we have seen this reversal with NASCAR, Bubba Wallace, and Will Kane celebrated anywhere. If Dale Earnhardt Jr. can even say, I want to read to you is this. This is Confederate Vice President Alexander H. Stevens. And this is a speech he gave. Our new government's foundations are laid. Its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the N-word is not equal to the white man. That is what you want it to represent? Well, at least that is what it represents.
So like he said, this is part of the cornerstone speech when they said that the niggers are not equal to the white man. But you want to talk about but my heritage. Yeah, that's what your heritage represents. You can try to pretend that it doesn't, but the founders of the Confederacy said that it does. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to shut her down. I might be back in like an hour or so. Depends on everything, but I do salute to y'all. So I'm going to just hit y'all with a couple quick visuals and then I will be out of here. Hopefully y'all hit the like button. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. And if you do want to make a contribution, you can hit me.
If you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and smash that. If you're feeling generous, then you can hit the Cash App, $Easy Stack. It's easy to remember. All them donations that you contribute make it feel like it's the 25th of December. Hit the Cash App. It's preferred over Super Chat because YouTube takes 30% off the top, and that's stupid whack. So if you want to see growth and watch the content get greater, send a Cash App to B-Eazy Dat Dude.
And Tutney says, great live. Thank you. I appreciate that. You said we made a better life here for ourselves. Yeah, the idiot. And this is the whole thing where they try to say, hey, well, slaves didn't have it that good, bad. Okay, fine. Let me enslave your daughter, right? She won't have it that bad, right? And it don't even call it slavery. It will be involuntary servitude, right? So all these people that try to big up slavery, but they don't want anyone in their family enslaved. Yeah, let me enslave some people in your family. Don't worry. I'll treat them right. I'll treat them as good as you think that the slaves were treated. So what's the issue? If slavery ain't that bad, why is no one ever advocating for their family members to be enslaved? Don't worry. They'll learn skills. So let me play these videos so I can get ready to shut her down.
Yeah. Hey. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Hey. Shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I rock up on them with the 40 ounces. The definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your Fitbit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Buku for the cocaine to go poo-poo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Millwall. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
Be easy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel. To be real, to be really that dude. Be easy, that dude.
just B-Eazy, B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh, B-Eazy that dude, ayy.
He styling and profiling, fresher than a mannequin. Hey yo, who's that? Mama, there go that man again. He the one who get the block booming and make the trap move. I'm still trying to figure out who is that dude. Oh, you ain't know? That's just B-Eazy, ayy, B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy, he is that dude, so you gotta let him cook. He be going dumb off the hook, got all them haters shook. He a king, you a rook, so don't ever start tripping, get it twisted or mistook.
B-Eazy Dat Dude, boy, stop playing. You know you dat dude and been dat dude. Back in the day, he was that dude. Fast forward to today, he's still that dude. Yup, dat dude. You can see as clear as day that he here to stay. Either get with the program or move out the way. Ooh.
B-Eazy that dude, he back with another one, another one.